This Friday night in the D.C. swamp with Democrats, they are at the end of what can only be described as a no good, very bad, you might want to call it horrible week. The Schumer shutdown was a huge embarrassment for the entire party. 42 long days, the longest shutdown in history. Democratic leaders got nothing, and now the party's increasingly rabid base, well, they are on a political warpath. Now, this may be hard to believe, but the socialist base now seems to hate members of their own party, as AOC calls them, the old guard, more than President Trump. I know, sounds impossible. In fact, the Democratic Party's thought leader, AOC, the squad leader, is now suddenly very complimentary of MAGA. Take a look.
I fully welcome Trump voters into our coalition. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but just hear me out. I cannot tell you, it just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you how many times someone has pulled me aside and said either I was once a big Trump voter and a Trump supporter and I watched Fox News every day, but then I started to kind of expand my world and where I got information, and now I've learned, and now I've changed, and I'm with you, and I learn from you.
I'd like to meet these people. I'd like to have a discussion with AOC. Do they suddenly want borders to be wide open? Do they want higher taxes? Do they want defund, dismantle, no bail laws, reimagine the police with social workers? And by the way, there are now growing calls for AOC to launch a primary bid against Chucky Schumer in the Senate. And if she does, I can promise you she will win. Chuck Schumer's days are over. He's toast. He's persona non grata inside the Democratic Party. But I'm not sure if I'm quite fooled by AOC's kind words. To Trump voters, I'm a bit skeptical. Put me in that camp. Now, Trump's loyal MAGA base is still very much hated by pretty much everyone in the Democratic Party. Don't kid yourself. They look down at Trump's supporters. Remember, irredeemable deplorables, garbage people. They try to dehumanize them over and over again. So we're going to get an invitation now after how many years of being called racist, fascist, Nazi, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini? Okay, I'm willing to listen. Here is Democratic rising star Jasmine Crockett, one of our favorite congresspeople. Take a look.
Okay, a lot of the MAGA women receive gender-affirming care, such as lip fillers, breast augmentation, etc. Why do you think they are so against gender-affirming care for trans people?
You know you want to say it.
Okay, so I have this thing where, like, you know a MAGA woman when you see one.
1000%.
They all have a look, right? But they, like, they lips be up to, anyway, that's a whole other issue. But yeah, they don't even know. Because when that was brought up on the House floor, because there was a discussion about this on the House floor, they were like, how dare you say we use, and it's like, no, that's exactly what y'all do. Y'all just didn't realize that that's what it is. But okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know a MAGA woman when you see one, unless they're wearing a MAGA hat. I'd like more detail on that. And by the way, Crockett is supposed to be a rock star in the Democratic Party. Take a look at your screen. Now, there are liberals who worship and kiss the ground that she walks on. Democrats believe she could beat Ted Cruz in a statewide Senate race, or maybe even Jasmine Crockett 2028. Okay, maybe to me sad, delusional state of the Democratic Party, but it gets worse. If you think Jasmine Crockett, AOC, maybe are a little out of touch, just wait until you meet the new crop of communists getting nominated and elected, and it's not just Mamdani, it's happening all over the country. By now, we are very well acquainted with our friend Zoran, Marxist Kami Mamdani. But breaking this week, another devout socialist just knocked off a Democratic incumbent to be the next mayor of Seattle. 43-year-old professional activist Katie Wilson is still, by the way, according to reports, receiving financial support from mommy and daddy. But now she's about to take over one of the biggest cities and the biggest budgets in the entire country. And in one of her first acts as mayor-elect, she said she was joined in a protest where she eagerly called on her fellow socialists to boycott one of the city's most successful businesses. You might have heard of it, Starbucks.
buying Starbucks, and you should not either.
I don't know. If I was the mayor of a city and Starbucks was one of the biggest businesses in my city, I don't know, is it really a good idea to run Starbucks out of Seattle? But socialists are world famous for bad ideas, driven by envy, spite, redistribution of wealth. They deplore success outside of their own circle. Their policies, we know, we've gone over this in detail. They are destructive by design. And their time in office is always marked by increased suffering, more poverty, chaos, disorder, crime, and a loss of freedom. Unfortunately, the old guard of the Democratic Party, they are too scared. They're scared to death to ever stand up to this radical base. In fact, look at this. According to Axios, top Democratic governors are now teaming up. Even Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, the guy they claim is supposed to be a moderate, busy, these days having pleasant chats with the anti-Semitic Marxist who will soon run New York City. And meanwhile, the two men who once supposedly led the Democratic Party, they are now fading into oblivion. No one really seems to care about what Barack Obama has to say anymore. Joe Biden can barely speak. And according to reports, Joe and Obama, well, they pretty much hate each other and don't talk anymore. Take a look.
He went out to dinner with former Senator Mark Pryor at Cafe Milano, sat right there in the dining room, right there in the dining room in front of everybody. I happened to be there. And you know who else was there was Barack Obama, who was also having dinner at Cafe Milano, but they didn't cross paths.
They didn't interact at all. They were in the same restaurant. What's their relationship like? That's weird that they didn't.
Really bad. Really bad.
Really?
Yeah. It's the Biden and the people around him very much blame Barack Obama for the effort to push Biden out of the campaign.
Now, the Democratic Party is in shambles after 8 years of Obama, then 4 years under President Autopen, operated by former Obama staffers. Democrats have little to show for all this. The so-called Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, well, that caused health care premiums to rise a whopping 200% to 300% more than before Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act that needs subsidies because it's not affordable at all. Also, inflation exploded under Biden. Supply chains crumbled under Biden. New wars breaking out all over the world under Biden. The Democratic Party has become a toxic brand all across the country. Some begging former First Lady Michelle Obama to come in, step in, and save the party. That is not going to happen. According to Michelle, Americans are just too immature for her liking. Take a look.
As we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. We got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
Okay, very nice. But who's to say, right? I don't believe her. In reality, it's Michelle's fellow Democrats that lack the emotional maturity to actually bring the country together or even be in the same room as a Republican. Let me give you one example. Here's a very belligerent Katie Couric, but she claimed to be a journalist in her day, didn't she? Almost demanding that Senator John Fetterman condemn the late Charlie Kirk and his, quote, extreme views. She asks over and over again and again. Take a look.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though. I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. I think that's the conversation that happened people condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language, suggesting that these kinds of words lead to violence.
Now, what Kirk fails to realize, her views are far more extreme than either Fetterman or Kirk. Really going that hard, attacking a 31-year-old man assassinated, a husband, father of two, really? But from, the safety of her New York City bubble, she lacks any and all self-awareness. Few Democrats now actually possess self-awareness, in part because they won't even socialize with a Republican, much less count them as a friend. Look at this new NBC poll. More than a third of Democrats don't have a single friend who is right of center, not one. And so with each passing month, the Democratic Party becomes more and more extreme. No one on the left even seems to notice.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.